Alright everyone, welcome back to yet again another prospect pool overview. Today we continue with the Florida Panthers. I'm all decked out in my Panthers gear. No jersey today, unfortunately. But regardless, Florida's a pretty interesting team. Their prospect pool is not deep whatsoever. I had to go digging for a lot of these players. And honestly, for some, besides Panthers fans here, maybe even some Panthers fans here, you might not recognize some of these guys that I'm about to say. There isn't many well-known Panthers prospects because I think they probably have the shallowest pool in the league. They may have some underrated gems in here. They have one or two good guys, but apart from that, there really isn't too much to this prospect pool if we're being brutally honest. So anyways, we'll get straight into it here. Starting off with Mackie Samskovich. He is a right wing from Newtown, USA. He's 5'11", 192 pounds, one of the more underrated forwards in the Panthers core, and one of the more underrated prospects in the league, if we're being honest, but still not really that well known. A two-time NCAA B1G champ, so he's won at the lower levels of the NCAA and has made it to the Frozen Four, but has not won in the Frozen Four. Basically what that means. He was also a United States Hockey League champ in 2020-21, so also he has that in his resume there too. Drafted 24th overall in 2021, so he was a pretty recent player about 2 years ago. And in 39 games with the University of Michigan, had 20 goals, 23 assists for 43 points. He's listed as a highly skilled offensive player and can keep up with the elite competition. So he's one of those guys there. He may not be an elite forward. He may not be one of the best prospects in the league. But still, he played with Adam Fantilli. He played alongside other really prominent players that are going to be good in the NHL. And Samskovich, although he's easily forgotten, could be the best player in Florida's prospect pool, if we're being brutally honest here. If we are going to be honest. He probably is the best prospect. After that, there isn't much. I'm not going to lie to you. There is Grigory Denisenko. Denisenko does classify as a prospect, even though I did think he had already graduated, which if he did, then that prospect pool is, that's bad. But regardless, Denisenko is still classified as a prospect. A left wing from Novorossiysk, Russia, 5'11", 185 pounds, drafted 15th overall in 2018, so he was a 2018 pick about 6 years ago. Kind of a forgotten player, but he did play in this year's Cup Finals with Florida, and he did play 18 games with the Panthers, so he is, I believe, not over the requirement mark there, so he is technically still a prospect. In 56 games this past year, though, with the Charlotte Checkers, he had 12 goals, 24 assists for 36 points, so still, probably you could also argue him as the best prospect in Florida's pool. He has elite skill and is a very consistent threat offensively. It's just the development to the NHL has been a little bit slower than others. And that's understandable. That happens for some players sometimes, where it takes you longer to get to the NHL. It's understandable. It happens. But, of course, for Denisenko, it's taken him a little bit to get to that level there with Florida. But I would imagine soon he does get there. And I think this next season, even though I do think Florida will be worse, I do think he has a good chance to get some consistent playing time there. In Florida's lineup for sure. So, regardless, I like Denisenko there as a prospect as well. Next up, then, for the final forward, I have Justin Sordith. I believe I'm saying that right. Now, this guy is not very well known. He is a right wing / center from Richmond, Canada, 5'11", 172 pounds. He was a WHL champion in 21-22, so he has that in his resume there, of course. Drafted 87th overall in 2020, so a little while ago when he was drafted, but in 48 games played this past year with the Checkers, he had 7 goals, 17 assists for 24 points. Not that bad. And not that bad for, I believe it was his first year with the Checkers in the AHL. So not that bad whatsoever for him. He's listed as having very, very powerful hands in front, a good handler with the puck, and shoot very well. And definitely someone you want to have on your roster there, and he's a good passer there listed as well. So, of course, we'll see if Sordith gets some time in the NHL this coming season, but of course, 24 points in 48 games, not that bad for a first year in the American Hockey League. That's it for the forwards, not a lot. Then you got the defenseman, it's Mike Benning. Benning, a D from Edmonton, Canada, 5'9", 181 pounds. He won the NCAA chip in 21-22, so he has that in his resume. That's definitely good to have. Drafted 95th overall in 2020, so not long after Sordith. Benning was selected. He is the brother of Matt Benning on the Nashville Predators, I believe. So something to keep in mind there. In 39 games played with the University of Denver, he had 13 goals, 21 assists for 34 points. That's not bad, really, for a defenseman. That's not too bad. Having 34 and 39 is actually pretty decent there for someone like Benning. He may lack size as a defenseman. He's 5'9", and usually when you're a 5'9" defender, you're not. It's not looked that well for you to be a good defensive defender, but he still has some solid capabilities. He's good offensively. I would expect him to probably make the jump over to the NHL this coming season, or not the NHL, the AHL, and play some games down there with Charlotte. But of course, we'll find out what happens there when it comes to Benning. Next up, then we have Evan Noss, and for those who don't know, my name is Evan, so good to see. Good to see another Evan. But he's a defenseman from White Rock, Canada. 6'2", 185 pounds. Was a Memorial Cup champ in 22-23, so this past year with Quebec. Congratulations to him. Drafted 56th overall in 2021. I've seen this guy pop up in a few articles with Florida saying he could be probably their next best defenseman. So hopefully he will become that. But Evan Noss this past year with the Remparts had 40 games played, 5 goals, 24 assists for 29 points. Looks like he could be more of a defensive defenseman with those stats, but still not too bad whatsoever there. And he looks like he does have top 4 NHL upside is what I've seen with him. So, of course, he could be a top 4 defenseman as early as maybe next season even. Who knows with Florida at this point. They're in a weird spot, I'm not going to lie. I can't wait till my season previews start up and we can talk about Florida. But they are in a weird spot, if we're being honest. Finally, the final prospect I'll talk about here is Mac Guzda. He is a goalie from Knoxville, USA. 6'5", 216 pounds. He was actually undrafted, but then was signed by Florida this past season. And in 29 games played with the Charlotte Checkers, he had 16-9-3 record, a 2.88 goals against average, and a .897 save percentage. Not bad. Not bad for, I believe it was his second year with Charlotte. And Charlotte's not like a powerhouse of a team, so it isn't really that bad to have stats like that. Honestly, with Spencer Knight being out and, Sergei Bobrovsky and the other goalie they brought in this offseason, Anthony Stolarz, it's possible Guzda could see some NHL time. It is very possible he could come up and play like 1 or 2 games. That could be the next step in his development, but of course, we'll find out what happens with him there. Other prospects in the system that you have with Florida are Max Gildon and Anton Levski. That's pretty much it. Honestly, when I was saying Florida's prospect pool is very shallow, it is very shallow. There are not a lot of notable players that are on this roster for Florida. And is it their fault? Not really. It's just how it goes sometimes. But, yeah, their pool is pretty dry, if I'm being honest. But regardless, and I mean, they don't have a lot of first-round picks either the next couple of years. So it isn't going to get much better for a while. So, Florida, I'm sorry. But regardless, thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and down below. I greatly appreciate it. But anyways, we'll continue on with the Chicago Blackhawks, I believe, the next one. So we go from a really shallow pool to a pretty deep pool. So should be a fun video. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.